You ready? Yeah.
And that's after, it's not. Maybe good. Yep. Now.
Go ahead and turn the lights out. I will start without.
Like, there we go. We'll give you the signal when we do that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Kathleen Alder. I'm the mayor. And I am really pleased to see this turnout tonight. I'm glad that we have some of the younger generation here who are watching the process. Hopefully they'll get involved soon. We have with us tonight as our moderator, Catherine Hughes. Catherine is your representative from this area on the county council. And she's been, what, 9 years? You were on the council in Nibley, and now she's on the county council. So we're pleased to have her join us tonight. And I'll let her talk to you about what the rules are and what we'll be doing. So thank you all for coming out on a rainy.
Thank you, Kathleen. So yeah, I am honored to be here this evening. As Kathleen said, I'm Catherine on the Cache County Council. I represent the Southeast District. So I represent Nibley and the College Young Ward area, Millville, Providence, and River Heights. And I just got elected in January. And so before that, I have been in this seat many times. I was 9 years on the Nibley City Council. So this evening, we're going to follow the following format. I'm going to start with 2 minutes for each candidate to kind of give an introduction for themselves. I'll have a timer here with a 1 minute sign to give you a heads up and a 30-second. And then I have an alarm that you'll hear when your time is up. We'll go through and rotate who gets to answer first. So we'll start over here with Mr. Speth and we'll go down this way. And then when you're done, we'll just make the next person, we'll be handing the microphone, we'll start the next. We'll be the first person to answer. I think if you have a question that you want to submit, I think there's been some paper passed out. Are you, some staff gonna pick those up and bring those questions to me? You guys will iron that out, there's a basket there. So, perfect, we'll keep this to about an hour. And thanks for coming out this evening. In your responses, I'm going to direct to the candidates. In your responses, please don't reference any current members on the council or any by name. We would just prefer that you would use present what your view is on what the questions and in your responses. So we'll start here with Mr. Speth, and we'll go down and we'll give you 2 minutes each to introduce yourselves. Thank you.
My name is Brent Smith. I've been on the council for 4 years, and I have served on the council some time ago for 2 years, became Providence City administrator at that time as they were just finishing up with the sewer. Worked for Providence City as building inspector, as a zoning inspector, zoning and code enforcer. And I've been involved with Providence for a long time. I've been in Providence now over 50 years. And I can honestly say I married up when I came up from the west side of the tracks on the College Ward up to Providence. And this is my sweet companion right over there. Unfortunately, she has to be on oxygen, but she's my sweet companion. Anyway, I'm very happy to live in Providence, happy to serve. I'd be happy to serve you for another 4 years if you so elect me to do so. And that's about all I have to say.
My name is Carrie Kerr, and I have lived here in Providence for most of my adult life for the last 18 years. I have felt and seen a lot of progress since I ran for the council in 2019 and began serving at the beginning of 2020. which is why I'm willing to continue serving. I feel like we've been able to really make a positive difference. There's a really steep learning curve when you begin serving on the council. And in the beginning, I spent many hours studying and learning and preparing, and I still spend many hours, but that learning curve has been passed through, which is why I chose to run again. I am the mother of 5 children. My oldest is 19, down to 11. I am a graduate of Utah State University. I have a master's degree in instructional technology and a bachelor's degree in elementary education. And I felt like when I initially ran for council that if not me, then who? I felt like there needed to be women represented on the council, that there needed to be mothers and a diversity of perspective. And I hope that's something that will continue throughout the years in Providence, that there will always be diversity within the council. And I've been grateful for the learning experience that I've had and hope that I can continue to bless the future of Providence.
My name is Steve Gibbons. My wife and I moved to Providence about 14 years ago, and we've raised our 4 kids here and have a newly acquired son-in-law. Just a bit of background on I graduated from Utah State, the Bachelor's of Finance and a minor in Economics, and then later got a Master of Business Administration. I worked for Fidelity Investments during that time for about 10 years, doing stock bond option trading, and then from there kind of moved on to their private client group in some different capacities. We're grateful to be here. Started here working in real estate and property management. Still do some working on the investment side and property management side of real estate, also helping people buy and sell their own homes. So with equity real estate, it's one of the larger brokerages in Utah, a little bit smaller up in Cache County here. I decided to run for council just to be better involved in the community and be a better citizen to contribute back to the community where I live. So again, just grateful to be here tonight and to hope to have an opportunity to serve.
You know, get all the time that they didn't use. Kendall Pace, we moved to Providence, my wife and I, because we love Providence. We like the feel this here. We love the people, they're kinder. There's a lot less contention here than where we came from. It's a beautiful city, and this is where we wanted to retire and live the rest of our lives. So we'll be here 30 plus years or until death, whichever. I think later is the right way, but first, I don't know, which I hope they live a long time. But we love it here. I have a background, I graduated from Brigham University a number of years ago, back in 1977, with a bachelor's degree, and then I went to work for a commercial construction company for 21 years, where I did project engineer and project manager. And then later was their safety manager and risk control and loss prevention. Did that for a number of years and got their record down. They got their costs down. After that, I decided to try my own hand and run my own business. So I did that for another 21 years, and that was quite an experience, but it was time to let that go, sell that, move on. And that's where we came up here. I decided to rejoin my safety career. Now I work for the state of Utah. Protecting the employee safety and looking out for employees for their safety. I decided to run for city council because I felt like we wanted to keep Providence the way it is, the way we moved here, and the reason we moved here. I wanted to keep it that way and keep that wonderful feel that's here. We came from a place that was losing that security and that secure feel and that feeling where you can walk down the street and feel safe. Here, I feel like I can unlock my doors and walk down the street anytime, except for maybe the cougar that might grab me. But other than that, we love it here. Thank you.
Thank you. It was asked of me to explain a little bit of the particulars of the election. Sorry, tough to. The election is going to be, ballots will be mailed out the end of this week, so you receive them at your home sometime the first part of next week. And you'll be voting for 3 seats on the council of these 4 candidates. So you'll get that in the mail and they'll have to be postmarked by November 21st.
To be emailed out by the 20th.
By the 20th.
In the box.
In person or paper. So you either have to get them postmarked by the 20th of November or drop them off at one of the ballot boxes by the 21st of November. So some particulars about the election. Okay. To begin, what skills and background, so we'll have Carrie start with this as we're moving down this. What skills and background do you bring to the council?
So I feel like one of my greatest strengths is just working with people and listening to people. I want to understand issues. I want to understand perspectives and different sides of the story. I understand that every single issue has many, many perspectives and that each side needs to be considered, that a decision shouldn't be made before every side is considered and heard. So one of my greatest strengths is listening to each side and showing respect to each individual as they share their perspective and their side of the story. I also bring organizational skills. I am good at time management and making the most of the time that I've been allotted and getting things done. I prioritize city council and make it a priority to study out the issues and to come to city council meetings well informed.
Some of the skills I guess I would have would be, I don't want to take exactly your words, but I've also been told at times that I'm a great listener. I am somewhat of an introvert, so I tend to have a few words sometimes, but also willing to listen and understand the issues. I feel like I also have the educational background to study those issues and find out what's going on and what needs to happen. I have zero background in politics, so this will be my first time potentially to do this. And I know one of the things I learned through the educational process is not just the facts and figures and how to calculate this and that, but also how to learn. So you learn how to learn, and I know there's a lot to learn in this job, and I know there's a lot to catch up on. Things that are going on in the city and understanding the direction they're going. I have been reading through the general plan and master plan that the city has. I haven't made it through all of that because there's a lot to cover and a lot of things to know and understand. But trying to start that process to get a little bit of a head start, and then to use those skills going forward to learn what I need to function the capacity of the job required.
Well, I think to start with, I have the construction background, which I bring that to the table.
They want you to put the mic closer.
Say there. Mike, is that better? No. Off?
Just, I think, a little closer to, no.
There it is. Pretty correctional. Well, I have a construction background, which I bring to the city, where I understand construction and codes, drawings, specs, understand dealing with construction people, which aren't always the easiest going group of people, but I understand that group and I get along with them well, and I can speak their language, not the cussing language, but I can speak the construction language. I have a background also with in safety, which is regarding a lot of different regulations and codes, and learning how to research and dig into those and understand them, and then put them to use and to, do them right. And have a good background in solving problems. And my wife and I had problems that seemed insurmountable just a few years ago. And it looked like it was an impossible feat, and we kept persevering and studied it out and kept working on it and solved the problems. So if somebody said you can't do something, we can do something, and we will do something. We have that kind of strength. I am presently working with a lot of different codes and regulations, so I have a really good background in understanding that, which is what we're going through right now. And I think the planning commission and code changes and revisions and things like that. So I have a keen understanding of that. I think my time is up. I understand the paper right.
30 seconds, well,
30 seconds.
15 now.
Well, I'll give the rest of my time to Brent.
Okay.
Well, I sat here and thought, what do I have to bring to the table? I have a very strong work ethic. I am committed. I don't back down. When I feel something is important and strong, I see it through to the end. That has been proven as part of the irrigation company, as part of the city. I see things that need to be done, and I'm self-motivated to get things going. You may receive some emergency material in your home. I saw a need with our great staff, Ryan, get these things through the stakes in the various homes, but we included all homes. I am interested in seeing the residents of Providence be on top of things. I just, you know, you're great people. I love Providence, and I want to see us just be prepared in every way, and just want to serve you in every way. And I see us wanting to move forward. I was very interested in seeing us take over our own garbage collection, so we're not dependent on somebody else. And that was proved to be a financial boon to us. And there's just things I'd like to see happen for the citizens of Providence, because I care about you. Thank you.
Okay, David, we'll start first with this question.
Sorry, David will start first with this question. As you know, your government consists of a mayor and then a 6-member council, 5-member council, excuse me, 5-member council. And so, how do you plan to work with the mayor and your other council members if elected?
I think one of the things that you need to have is cooperation. I had the opportunity, and the mayor was gracious with her time to sit down with me and talk about some of the things going on within the city, and we got to know each other a little bit better. Hopefully, a good start to working together. I like to be cooperative and to bounce ideas on people and to understand issues and to know what their thoughts are. It would be obviously both citizen council members, mayor, whoever wants to chime in. So I'm very willing to listen and talk those issues through. I'm again just grateful for the opportunity to be here and to be able to meet everybody running and gone to some of the other council meetings and watch those. So I'm trying to get an idea of how it all functions together and how I can work best with them. I'll give you the rest of my time.
I don't think it works there. Well, I plan on working with the other members of the council and the mayor fairly. I can also get to understand their point of view and their opinions and how they think and how they do something and weigh that out. I'm not the kind of person that's going to follow. If I feel like something needs to change, I won't necessarily, I'll voice my opinion that way and stick to that one, but evaluate the situation. But I will work with them. I ran a business for 21 years, and most of my business was referral business and repeat business. And it's successful because of being able to understand what the customer wanted and being able to work with the customer and produce the product that they were happy with. Had very little problems with product or customers because treated fairly, they respond well to fairness. Question is,
How do you plan to work with the mayor and other council members?
okay, I guess I answered that, yeah, fairly, listen to each of the other council members as I've been doing. But I think also there's more to it than just the council, there's also the city manager and the recorder and there's other components to that, which I gather more information from them as well, because they're a wealth of information. I have a 30-second mark and I just felt like I'm done.
You're good.
Well, I think my experience on the council, we're not on.
Just tip it toward you.
Hello.
You tip it.
Okay. I think my experience on the council has taught me that I listen to what is going on in the community. I observe what's needed and what's out there in the community. I bring that to a discussion with the council and talk about opinions and feelings. And then when we come to a vote, it may not go where I felt it was, but when the vote is taken, in a democratic way, that we jump behind each other and support. None of the council members live independently or walk independently. We represent you. We don't pound our shoes on the table, listen, take the vote, and we move forward. When we walk out of the meeting, get behind each other, and we're looking forward to the next item that comes up that we can work, discuss, research, and come together and try and find a solution to for your benefit.
I've found teamwork and respect, especially respect for each other, to be absolutely essential. We don't have to vote unanimously in our decisions. We don't have to all be on the same page. Like I said, I really feel like diversity of opinion is important, but listening to each other with respect is essential. I've made attending conferences priority, even though it's not always convenient, because of the camaraderie. Other reasons too, networking is so important and learning from other cities and workshops. But one of the main things that comes out of attending conferences is just the camaraderie within the council and having these social experiences together. I've enjoyed working on subcommittees. I find that is extremely effective. If we had to do every single thing that we do in a council meeting, it would be completely ineffective. But to have two of us and city staff work together on subcommittees to get things done, I found that to be really effective. And then when a vote is taken, we respect how each other votes and move forward.
As the land use authority, as the council's land use authority, what is the most pressing land use issue in Providence right now?
Well, I think it has to do a lot with getting the revisions to our present codes updated into a standard where we really are to the benefit of the residents of Providence. That needs to be looked at carefully, and I know the planning commission is doing that now, and I appreciate them doing that because it really needs to be done. And it's a pressing issue that leaves our city wide open, or in some cases, it leaves things wide open for things that we wouldn't necessarily want built right next to us in our backyard, in our backyard or in the city. So we get some of those codes drawn up more specific, more accurate, more to what the residents want. I think that's the most present issue right now.
Okay, so I think on land use, I think, we must make sure, because we've all had children, well, maybe not everybody, but children that are here, they need a place to live. Whether they move from here to live somewhere else, or whether they come here to live. Pressing issue is to have housing that people can enjoy, but maintain a balance of place for people to play, kids to be able to walk safely, be protected crossing our streets, walking to school. We have this school here, we have the elementary school. This one's going to be turned into an elementary school with the vote goes through the county. The kids need to walk here. And so they need to be protected. That's very important. So, a place for kids to play, a nice place to live, less infringement on those that are already here, but develop the area and let the housing be managed well, not have the housing manage the city. And I think they're doing a great job with that. Our staff and land use authority are doing a wonderful job at managing the growth. Now, I know that you sometimes think maybe it's too dense, but that's what the demand is nowadays. Land is very expensive.
So the question was the most pressing land use issue. And I think that it's a little bit of a, a loaded question, like how do we say what's absolutely the most pressing issue? I think that there's so many things. I agree that updating the current code is extremely pressing, and that's why it's been prioritized. And the planning commission is preparing that to bring it to the council, updated code. And we have been working extensively on updating outdated code, not just land use code, but all of our code that's been has been updated this year. And but land use code has got to be updated, but it kept within the state standards. The state is putting tremendous pressure on us. I would love to see the state pull back and let us build out what has been approved before they continue to put increased pressure for more building. I would like to see careful strategic planning with the population growth. When I first ran 4 years ago, one of my top priorities was to acquire park property. And with the help of Ryan, our very capable city manager, we've put many offers in on property and have been able to acquire some property and continue to seek after property that the city can acquire for parks, so that we can preserve some of the space that we have. It'd be so nice if we could turn some of this land that's now being developed into park space, but that can only be done if we can purchase it. And I'm grateful for those who have allowed us to purchase their property and preserve some of that space.
I think one of the most pressing land issues is with a lot of growth that we have, and where do you put people in? And that's not necessarily just a problem unique to Providence. It's Cache County growing by leaps and bounds. Utah, Wasatch Front, it's a popular place to be, and with good reason. We live in a beautiful place, and people want to come here. I think our population here in Providence is roughly 9,000 and growing. Last data I could find anyway. So we are growing, and that needs to be addressed as far as where we put people. And like Carrie said, if we don't choose what we want our city to look like, the state's going to help choose for us. So we definitely need to have input from everybody, what we want it to be like and how we want it to be, so that we can make Providence and hopefully keep Providence, how we want it to be. And I agree too that having some green space is important, and maybe having more green space, less density. I know people are coming and we have to figure out a way to have some of that growth, but also, like I say, keep Providence that kind of hometown feel that we already have, and that sentiment is also echoed in the general plan, or at least the most recent version.
Right.
Thank you. I'll take a few questions here that were given to me by the attendants here. What are 2 things you'd like to change in Providence, and how would you make those changes?
One of the things that I'm really interested in, Brian and I have talked about this, and council has talked about this. If feasible, I would like to see Providence manage its own city and not have to ship it over to them continually by excessive fees being attached, not excessive fees being attached, because they're having to build and expand to help out the valley. And I'd like to see us, since we have a definitive area of Providence pretty much now, we're not going to annex an awful lot of ground, even probably very little. If we could build a sewer plant that would manage the sewage that we have, and I attended conferences about plants that could be built where the outfall would be put into the current river that we have, and it would be okay to be on down the river. And I think this is very important. If we can do it financially, it's going to be tough. And I don't know if we can do it financially, possibly if we get some grants. The other thing that still interests me, again, if I can do anything, is I would like to encourage more emergency preparedness among our citizens. I would like to see us be self-sufficient individually for a period of time. I think it's only a matter of time until it's going to be needed, and that will be one of my focuses if I'm elected, is to continue to promote emergency preparedness among our citizens.
So I mentioned that last time I ran, one of my main goals was to acquire open space, and that continues to be a goal and something that we are seeking after is open space and land, and that's something that I hope we can have success in. Also, another platform or something goal that I've had and worked on over the last 4 years and would like to continue to work on. And one of my strengths is gathering people. I would like to see Providence have a greater sense of community. Over the last 4 years, we've successfully relaunched the city celebration with a great committee. So Sauerkraut Days is now reinvented and creating new traditions for the next generation. We've relaunched the youth council and established the new Easter egg hunt. And so instead of infringing on other city events, we can have some of our own. And I'm hoping that will create a greater sense of community among the people of Providence to have these events. The staff has successfully created the annual Christmas tree lighting, and I hope that tradition will grow as the tree at the roundabout grows. And so I hope that we can have a greater sense of community in Providence with these newly reestablished traditions, and that they will continue to grow.
Yes, one of the things I was thinking about as far as changes, it's not necessarily a change, but just something to consider is, last I read, there were 30-some parks in Providence, and maybe that's, how many do you say there are now? Because I don't know, but that's,
Like Megan would know, 9,
does anybody have a number?
9, yeah, I mean, I can pull up the park
Oh,
master.
less than, oh,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Maybe you're looking
It's
at acres.
Acreage. Anyways, and I know my originally was to have, it's probably acreage and they were looking at 20 some odd more acres to add to that eventually, and I think that's great. Again,
We can't hear.
microphone, sorry, better to preserve some and keep some open space and add some art. I know I have kids and some of us are past that age where we don't use them necessarily, but it's a great place for community to gather and to enjoy the outdoors. Another thing I would like to see is the second part of that is just, and this goes for me personally, but more community involvement in council decisions and council meetings. And so for me, for my part, this is my offering of me getting involved and trying to be a part of that and make positive changes where I can.
I'd like to change the feeling that many of the residents of Providence has, that they're not being listened to or heard, that their wishes aren't being fulfilled. And many times you see in the meetings, well, not many times, but some of the times you see a large crowd in some of the council meetings or planning commission meetings. But then the crowd that's lost confidence in the planning commission, or lost confidence in the city council, and that we end up with a large crowd. Usually not a very happy crowd because of the lack of confidence. So I'd like to see that change. I'd like to make that a priority to change that the residents feel like they're being listened to and heard, and that their wishes are being listened to and made sure. I think the city council is, and I know when I vote for city council, I vote for them hoping that I don't have to worry about the city. The city council's got my back. They're taking care of my needs, and I don't have to worry about something popping up that I didn't want or expect. I want the city council to handle that so that I can sleep at night. If I'm on the city council, I'll be the one that doesn't sleep at night, but the rest of you can sleep at night, because I'm gonna be looking out for you and listening to you and hoping that feeling, that you have confidence in that I'm listening to you, the whole city council's listening to you. That I know that a few times when I've spoken to the council, I felt like I was speaking to, I didn't feel like I was being heard or listened to, and I want to change that. Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions about growth. We've produced more children over the decades than any other county in the United States. What needs to be done to provide adequate housing for our children in Providence?
So this is the double-edged sword. And, I hear things like, well, my kids don't need to live in Providence, they can live in Logan. And that's true. But it's going to take the whole valley working together to figure out housing, the whole state working together. And the state is putting mandates on the city. So it's not just the city council haphazardly building housing that you're unhappy with. But in order to preserve open space, we have to build higher density. And then there's room for open space. But if every individual is living on a 1/4 acre lot, then there's no room for a 10-acre park, because every house is on a 1/4 acre. So there has to be some density for there to be some open space. That said, I feel that Providence has done our share in approving housing that has not yet been built out. I feel like the builders are behind on what has been approved. So I don't know that we need to approve any more to catch up with the need. The state would like to tell us that we do, but we don't control the market or the prices. And the state would like to tell us that we have to get the price of houses down by providing more housing. But the builders aren't keeping up with the housing that we have approved. So I would like to see the builders catch up with what we have approved before we approve more. I feel like Providence has done our share, and I feel like there are other places that can do their share as well.
Thank you. Right now, there are 11 homes, 11 properties in Providence that are 400,000 or under. There are 44 total properties listed on the MLS, so a quarter of those are under 400. If you look at median income of Providence residents, now $90,000. At $90,000, you can afford probably, we talk about housing affordability, which is mostly defined as 30% of your gross income, 30% or under the property is then affordable to you. At that price, and current interest rates, you can afford roughly $20-50 a month if you're at around 90,000. You can do the math from there. There's not many properties available that would be deemed affordable for anybody under that 90,000 median. So it is a supply and demand issue, but it is what it is. That's what controls the market. That's what controls the prices. So a builder's not going to come in and build for under market rate. Building costs have doubled, and it's very expensive. So I feel like people, when we were first married, I lived in Canidates, and we couldn't afford to live here, and there weren't jobs available, and so we moved away for a time until we could afford to come back. And when that happened, we made that choice, and so I feel like that's sometimes what's going to have to happen. You know, maybe we don't like that answer of kids moving away and having to come back. Right now, that's kind of.
We've produced more children over the decades than any other county in the United States. What needs to be done to provide adequate housing for our children in Providence?
So the question is talking about children growing up and coming back. I'm sure that's the question. I'm not sure what the question is really stated.
Yeah.
So
How to accommodate, how to provide housing for our children here.
our children, as they grow up and start their own lives, and they want to go back to Providence. I don't know if I have a good answer for that. If we're confined to the boundaries, you know, I have so many homes. I'm not in favor of building high-rise apartment units to accommodate for that. I don't think you think the children coming back, or they want that for any long-term period of time. I do think the city council job is to look out for the residents and what they want and their wishes. And it's our job also to push back against the state trying to hammer the city into doing something that we don't want to do. That's, you know, otherwise, if we roll over and let the state run us, there's no point in having city council. So I think we need to push back on that. I don't have an answer for those who want to return back to Providence, because it is kind of a confined space in here, but I'm not in favor of growing upwards in smaller apartment units to accommodate for that answer.
I like Gary, I think that's a two-edged sword, because city councils can't determine where children live. That's not something we can do. We create laws and manage our city, and sure, we'd all like to have our children live here. But as been said, due to our income level in Providence, in order for them to purchase a home, they have to be able to have that income level in Providence. That means children have to be either educated, find good trades. They have to have a desire to want to be in Providence. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of job availability in Providence. They need to go elsewhere to find the job. There's good jobs in the valley. But they have, and the people that are living here do have a high income. And so for our children to come back, they've got to be able to have that income or have help from somebody that can help them with that type of income. The city council cannot determine where children. All we can do is create laws and our ordinances and follow through with them.
Do you encourage or discourage apartments, whether they be attached or detached, on existing properties? So attached meaning like a basement apartment or an accessory dwelling unit with a mother-in-law apartment or separate from the primary residence.
It's certainly one way to increase housing availability without building upward or just losing a lot of land to, large acre individual family homes, single family homes. So I think I would support being able to use your basement to rent to a friend or a family member if needs. Talk about children coming back, maybe that's an opportunity, maybe you don't want them in your basement. I don't. I hope they grow up and move out, but or if there's opportunity for an accessory dwelling unit, someplace that you can help somebody live, in your government yard for a place like that. I think that would be a way to go. I know Logan is talking about that. That was one of their proposals that just recently came out as far as allowing more of that. Currently, they allow, I think it's up to 3 unrelated people in a home, and they're talking about having an additional person and saying, okay, you can have 4 now. And that's one way to allow more people to do it in a legal manner that neighbors hopefully won't be upset about it.
I think that's what the planning commission is working on right now, is to try to define those accessory dwelling units now. I'm not particularly in favor of it with the way that it's open-ended right now, because it allows for taking away the zoning right now. It's, if you call it single family zoning, it really could turn out to be multifamily in a single family zone. And that's not, I don't believe was the intent of the ordinance or that code. Right now, you could actually, the way it is in some of the codes right now, is you can end up with a multifamily, you actually have as many as 4 families on one lot, if allowed, or in some cases, you can end up with a 2-story dwelling in somebody's backyard right next to you that's 5-10 feet away from your yard. It's up 2-story, and I'm not sure that anything really is bigger than that, not too many. So in reality, that needs to be addressed in the review that the planning commission is doing right now, and that needs to be buttoned down so that we as residents really get what we want to have there, not find a loophole to find a way to get multifamily in a single family code or a zone.
I don't believe I'm opposed to good use of property in a home. That if it can sustain more than one family, if it can, I have my daughter, son-in-law living with us. Yeah, we have a big home. We don't need it all. And we welcome them there. I don't mind having more people living in a home. I'm not interested in really creating an apartment community, but I certainly believe there's ways to go about, as we have dealt with some properties, infill in the backyards of these big lots, where people are not using their lots. That They want to do something with them. They don't use them for production anymore. It's, if it's done properly managed, I don't think it's wrong to utilize the land and utilize homes.
So I think it depends. It depends on the location, it depends on the parking availability, it depends on so many different details. And that's why these ordinances take months to review and to write, because there's absolutely hundreds of variables. I can't just say I agree or I disagree, because there's just too many variables. I agree with using property for its highest value. I want it to look good. I want it to be respectful to the neighborhood. You know, people ask us for, like infill, someone wanted to put a fourplex in the infill of their acre backyard. It wasn't appropriate for the neighborhood, you know, so I was opposed to that. You know, but in other instances, or had they asked for something different, then maybe I would have been in favor. You know, if it would have kept with the fill, and had there been appropriate parking, and had it not been intrusive to the neighbors, then yes, maybe I would have been in favor, or close to corridors for traffic and for buses. So there's just so many variables when you're deciding about apartment or no apartment.
And then you'll start. As a council member, you know the city better than citizens. If the popular vote is no, but you know the city will be better off with you voting yes, which way will you vote?
I had to go first, guys. Well, I remember there was something not too long ago, I don't know which one it was, but there was something that a developer was trying to stress that the people really shouldn't have a right to vote in the first place, because they really don't know what's right and best for them. I'm not in favor of that, because I think the residents have a right to vote and have a right for a voice and should be heard. And otherwise, what are we doing in America if we don't have a choice? So I think we have to listen to what the popular vote is by the residents, if that's what you mean by popular vote. I think we need to listen to that. And if I really felt it was not the right way to go, I'd table it, we keep talking to the public until they understood, or I understood better too, but generally, I think the popular vote should be outweigh the individual vote or even the council vote, because that's what America's for, that we all get a right to vote, the right to stand up and say what we want. I think the residents do know what's best for this city, and I think they do want the city to maintain what it is and not some of the things that the state's trying to push us to do. And that's what the council is here to do, is push back on the state and don't let them control us.
I'd like to know how not to let the state control it.
Well, sure. I'd like you to read that question, please.
As a council member, you know the city better than citizens. If the popular vote is no, but you know the city will be better off with you voting yes, which way will you vote?
Well, I can honestly say, before I voted the way I thought it'd be best for the city, I would try and educate those people to try and help them understand why I would vote the way I was going to. I would try and help them understand from a perspective of council member why I think it's better for the city. And even though there might be a majority that says no, if we can come together and find a workable solution, it might not be my way, it might need tweaking, so that it meets both sides before the vote is taken. I think I would take the opportunity to try and have some discussions and see if I can help them understand why I feel the way that I do, so that we might come to an agreement, so that we're not out here to do it for ourselves. We have to look at the city, but I'd like to help them understand why I would do that as a councilman.
I believe that listening to the contingency of the city is essential. And I think that when there's disagreements between the city members and the city council, that, like Brent said, there needs to be more discussion so that there can be better understanding. Maybe it's better understanding on the part of the council, or maybe it's better understanding on part of the city. That said, those in the room at council meetings don't always represent the city as a whole. Those in the room at council meetings are often represent special interest groups that are there to represent a particular neighborhood or a particular issue that maybe don't want something to happen in their backyard that would be actually in the best interest of the 99% of the city that's not there at the council meeting. So if a vote were to be taken, and the whole city were to be represented, the city would vote in favor, but those in the council room would be opposed. So I think that has to be very carefully weighed when you are a council member and it feels like the city or those in the council room are there with pitchforks and their hair on fire. And they don't represent the 99% that aren't there, or those who didn't want to come and represent the other side because they didn't want to create contention with their neighbors who they knew would be there with their hair on fire. And so I think discussion is essential, but also recognizing that those in the room don't represent the entirety of the city in general.
I don't like contention at all, but I realize it's gonna happen, it's gonna exist. I kind of feel like if citizens want to go one way and I'm feeling like I want to go the other way, everyone's wrong with me, right? So, obviously I need to go back and do more study and figure out why everybody else has a different idea than the way that I thought I was gonna go. Definitely gonna require more education on and learning on my part or on the part of the citizens in a way that we as council can educate everybody else. There's some expert reason or something that's happened that's, as the question said, that somehow we know more that's going on and we know what needs to happen, and then that needs to be very well communicated to everybody else. So that it's not an issue of I know more than you, so I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do.
This is going to be the last question that I'm going to ask, and then I'll give you some time for some closing remarks. And that will work in the same format. And I want to thank you for putting your names on the ballot, for running for your council positions. It's hard, it's really intimidating to put yourself out there. So thank you for your willingness to be involved in our community.
Thank you for being moderator. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. This question is, how often have you attended or watched the council meetings? And when you've attended, was the purpose to be educated, or was it just to raise one specific issue?
I only, in the 4 years, I've only missed one council meeting, and that's because I was in Branson, Missouri, and I couldn't get Zoom to be on the council meeting. That's the only council meeting I have missed. Either I have attended some by Zoom, especially during the COVID era, but I have not missed any council. Now, am I answering the question you?
It's just involvement, but maybe before you were on council? As just a citizen, were you attending meetings? And was it for a specific issue, or did you come to participate as a citizen of the community?
That's probably an unfair question for me to answer because I was, worked for the city for 13 years. And I was at most every council meeting, and yes, and even after I was not on the city council, I worked at the local fire department as a fire inspector, and I was the representative for Providence, or represented Providence in my fire inspections. So I was always involved with land use and planning and development and city council meetings. Yeah, that's been my life for 20 some odd years now. So, yeah, I was busy with it.
That's big. He knows where every pipe in Providence is laid. I served on the planning commission for multiple years before, about 10 years before I ran for council. I ran for council one other time, when I was a young mom and still having babies and didn't make it. This time when I ran for council 4 years ago, I attended meetings for about a year. Before there were quite a few people who ran, so there was a primary, and I felt to educate myself. In fact, I remember at that time they were meeting twice a month, so I went to at least one meeting a month for a year. I remember coming to meetings and straight from Bear Lake, you know, with a swimsuit cover up, because I felt it was really important to educate myself and be prepared to run for city council and to know what the issues were before I got on the council and had a vote.
I haven't attended a lot of meetings in person. I've watched, they have on the Providence YouTube page, there's, I think, a couple of years worth of council meetings. And so I've been watching some of the back meetings. I attended the most recent in person, just to get a feel for all of that and how that works, and made a comment as a citizen as well. But some of the background as far as trying to get ready for this and not just attending council meetings, but as I said before, able to meet with Mayor Alder. I met with former Mayor Drew, had some good conversations with former council members, was able to talk to our city manager. I didn't know, was gracious to meet up, and so trying to do a little bit of catch up work in that area.
You know, I've been trying to attend as many virtual meetings as I can, even when I'm out of town. I try to catch and look at the virtual meetings. I've attended several of the meetings and spoken to several, so I've been pretty actively involved in attendance of the meeting, as well as reviewing the minutes after the meetings as well. I'm going to the website and reviewing the minutes and studying what is taking place. Also staying up with the planning commission, the zone revisions that are taking place right now, and also with the land use authority, paying attention to that and studying that. This is quite the document, and quite the changes, and quite the difficult process of getting those zones to the way that we want them. So I've been paying attention to them and studying those as much as I can. So thank you.
Okay, and we're gonna do the same format for some closing remarks. John, or Brett started. Oh, so you're starting. So I'm just gonna encourage the residents to stay and mingle and speak to your, I wasn't able to get through all the questions that you submitted, but I think that each of the candidates is willing to stick around for a little while to talk one-on-one with you, and encourage you to stay and talk and they'll field your questions. We'll go ahead and follow the same format and let you have your closing remarks, and that will be 2 minutes each.
I thank you for taking the time to be here, and for those who listen virtually, I think that it's really important to be an educated voter. Last election 2 years ago, it was, if I remember correctly, less than or around 20 votes between the person
who made it and the next person who didn't make it. Every single vote counts. And so please take time to make an educated vote and don't just throw your check mark and send in your ballot, but take time to know the candidates and to make an educated vote. If you want to know more about me and where I stand, I have a website. It's super easy. Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E, Kirk, KIRK.com, carriekirk.com. You can learn a little bit more about me. You can see some of the things that I've done and where I stand. If you want to know more about the history of what I've done, you can see me interacting on the council over the last 4 years. One of my first assignments was to help resolve a longstanding issue with the water company. It was a privilege to sit in a room with 2 water council members and myself and Janelle Seeley and Ryan Snow and resolve generations of contention and to save the city thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars by having those issues resolved between the water company and the city. And now we're working together and the city is in a better situation than ever. It's been a privilege to serve you and to listen to you, and we are grateful for your being here and searching out these issues.
And thanks for coming tonight. It's been an interesting process to see and be a part of. I wish there were more people here, but I know there's a lot online too, and it's nice to see faces of friends and family here in the crowd, and I know some are online. As Carrie said, yes, please get out and vote. It's important to do our civic duty that way and to study the issues and understand whether or not you agree with one of us or whatever, but that's very important. I'm definitely, as you said, happy to stay after and answer any questions or clarify any points or ideas, thoughts, opinions on issues. I'm happy to give out my phone number and other information.
Well, it was the first time I've ever been on the ballot. Never thought I would, never really wanted to, still don't really want to, but I thought it was important to run this time because I did feel like there was a lack of confidence in the city, in the residents, and I felt like I could bring that confidence up to the city council and has their back and looking out for their interests and listening to them and paying attention to them. I don't want to get to a point where we have another referendum like we did a couple of years ago, where had to go to the vote on an issue that people just weren't being heard by. We don't need to go to that extreme where we have to take a vote to be heard. I would hope not have to go to that extreme again. We need to be listened to as residents. This is a wonderful city. We need to maintain its wonderfulness, its security, and all the wonderful things that the reason we came here in the first place and hope to live here the rest of our lives. We love it, and just a reminder, the voting is on a different day. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I don't know why. That's been explained, but please vote, and I look forward to being on the city council.
Well, my closing remarks, I want to make sure that I acknowledge the wonderful staff, city manager that we have in the city. They're tremendous, and they work hard and tirelessly to make sure that the city functions well within the code, to keep the council informed. They are great people, and I'm certainly grateful for them. I'm grateful for you being here tonight. Excuse me. I know that there's some showers out there and you had to step out of your comfort zone to be here. We appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you. And those who are online, we appreciate them as well. Having served, and Carrie mentioned the longstanding concern with the water company. I was president of the water company for 8 years. And in the discussions, we wanted to bring the water to the city, but we wanted to preserve the water company. And when we finally got to the point where Carrie and others stepped in with the members of the board, and I wouldn't serve on that resolving committee because I had some heavy feelings, but I wanted to preserve the water company. I wanted to make sure the city got their water and did not have to pump it. And I appreciate so much that which was resolved, because that's the solution that we came to. We preserved the water company and the city got their water. I want you to know that I want the citizens of Providence to be prepared for emergencies, all kinds of emergencies. I want them to not have to be dependent upon as many other people as much as we can be persevering. And that's the same with the garbage, that's the same with the sewer, that's the same with all these things. I think we can handle ourselves and manage ourselves very well as citizens of Providence. I would look forward to serving you for another 4 years. But if you choose not to have me, thank you very much for the 4 years that I did serve on the council, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you again to all of the candidates. Just to clarify, we had a question, the state is who runs our elections, and this election cycle is an off cycle. We had a congressman, former Congressman Stewart, who resigned from office. And so we had to accommodate an off-year election, and that's why our cycle is off from what we typically are accustomed to, being the first Tuesday of the month. So to accommodate that, the state has adjusted the schedule. So you will get your ballots in the mail next, in this upcoming week, and you'll have about 3 weeks to get them filled out and sent in or dropped off in a ballot box. Then they have them at the county building, and I'm sure there's one here in the Providence City buildings. And if you have any questions, I'm sure staff and your elected officials can help you. So thank you very much for coming.